Okay, we ready? In the back, this is the first time the three of us have done an event in this room, and I hope it's the first of many. I want to start with something that is off topic from why we're here, but it's so important. I think the three of us wanted to address this up front. And to say that we are very pleased to announce that last evening we received a crucial decision from the Third Circuit Court of Appeals reinstating the vast majority of the law that I signed last December preventing firearms from being carried in many public areas throughout the state. To say that we're pleased is an understatement. I was incredibly proud to stand with these two extraordinary partners, Senate President Nick Scutari, Speaker Craig Coughlin, to enact this law, because we all know that keeping guns out of our most sensitive and vulnerable locations keeps our residents safe. And I'm deeply grateful to all the members of both chambers who stood up to the gun lobby to prevent gun violence in our communities. Because of yesterday's decision, guns will once again be prohibited by law in places such as, and this is not an exhaustive list, but it's an example, zoos, parks, beaches, recreational facilities, libraries, museums, bars, restaurants that serve alcohol, entertainment facilities, casinos, medical facilities, and public protests and gatherings. So as we prepare to enjoy the Jersey Shore this summer, we can rest assured that our beaches will be free from unnecessary guns. And I know that states like Florida take a different approach, but at the end of the day, there's a cause and effect impact here, and that's why their rates of gun violence are many times that of New Jersey. So this is a matter of public safety, and our common sense gun safety laws keep us all safe, including, maybe even especially, the women and men, brave women and men in blue. I also want to give a shout out not just to the leadership and their teams, our Chief Counsel Paramel Garg and his team, Attorney General Matt Plotkin and the attorneys on his team for this important victory in court. You may remember that at the time, I remember we were in a library, as I recall, signing this, we said we don't like the concealed carry decision from the U.S. Supreme Court, but we know it's the law of the land and we have to live with it. So the three of us and our respective teams spent an enormous amount of time making sure that what we crafted together fit into that decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. And I think we were all proud of the fact that we really believed that. So one judge saw it differently, but for the most part, this Court of Appeals sided with us. There are a couple of exceptions. So if it's your private home or you own a hardware store, the default is you have to put a sign up that says no guns are allowed in here. I think they rejected the insurance proposal that we had. You can unfortunately still have a gun in a moving vehicle, and for reasons that escape me, you can have a gun on a movie set, which I don't get given what happened in that tragedy last year. But for the most part, the overwhelming amount of what we crafted together stuck. Huge day. So with that off our chest, good afternoon, everybody. Incredibly honored to be joined by Senate President Nick Scutari, Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin, and we're proud to announce that we have. I also want to acknowledge Treasurer Liz Moyo is in the House with us. Liz, thank you. We're proud to announce that we have reached a fiscally responsible agreement to provide historic property tax relief to our seniors. As I've said from the start, and I think we all have said, we are working to build a stronger and fairer New Jersey that is affordable for all of our hardworking families. The Speaker and Senate President have been critical at every step in those efforts, and we would not be here today if it were not for their partnership and good faith. Our work together continues to show how New Jersey can deliver for our residents and act like the adults in the room when it comes to how our institutions and government should function. So in terms of the specifics of this property tax relief program, which we are calling Stay NJ, residents over the age of 65 will see their property taxes cut in half if they are making less than $500,000, and that benefit is capped at $6,500. This program, which will be challenging and difficult, but we will get it done, to put in place, will not take full effect until the year 2026. So, as an interim matter, we will provide immediate extra property tax relief through our anchor program, increasing tax relief this year by $250 for both senior homeowners and senior renters. So this is a big deal, because if you recall in our budget proposal, we're pushing for a second year of funding for Anchor, meaning another year of direct property tax relief for up to $1,500 if you're a homeowner and $450 if you're a renter. With this latest agreement, again, I want to thank my two colleagues, if you're a senior homeowner, you're now going to get an extra $250, meaning you'll get $1,750 this year. And if you're a senior renter, instead of $450, you're going to get $700 a year, again, subject to those income caps. So that means that over the past 2 years, jointly, we will have committed $6 billion in direct property tax relief, tackling one of the single greatest and longest standing affordability challenges our state faces. Darren, can you figure out a way to make it cooler in here? Yeah. Thank you, sir. I cannot stress this enough. This is a historic investment. We have provided more property tax relief than any governor and legislature in our state's history, and that is because of our commitment to making New Jersey more affordable. With Stay NJ, we will add to the 18 tax cuts for our working, middle-class families and seniors that we have already either made or proposed in this budget. And we all know that New Jersey is the best place in the nation to live and raise a family, and we will continue to ensure that it stays that way. It is important to add that today's agreement also allows us to deliver on our commitments to fiscal responsibility that we have fought so hard for, namely to a full pension payment, to full school funding, as well as maintaining a healthy surplus to weather any potential economic storms in the future. And I'm proud to say that on our collective watch, we have made the first full consecutive pension payments in more than a generation. And I'm even prouder of the fact that we will have contributed nearly 3 times as much to our pension plans as the last 6 governors combined. As a result of our fiscal health and responsibility, all the major credit rating agencies have given us upgrades. And today's agreement continues to build on that track record and our commitment to fiscal responsibility that we have made since day one of our administration. Now, I know I just threw out a whole lot of numbers, but I do not want folks to get lost in those cold numbers. As President Joe Biden says, and I quote the president, "A budget is a statement of values." This agreement says we care about our seniors and making New Jersey affordable for all. That extra money in their pockets goes a long way, especially if you're living on a fixed income and seeing prices rise. So this is going to make a world of difference for the folks sitting around the kitchen table, juggling the costs of food and medicine, and trying to make it work each month. Today's agreement is for them, and we will continue to work to ensure everyone in New Jersey can afford to live out their best years with dignity, and where every family can reap the benefits of their hard work. Again, I'm joined by 2 extraordinary leaders. First up to bat, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks. No, you don't have to give me a clap. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. This is a big day for seniors and for all families throughout the great state of New Jersey. I want to thank Governor Murphy and Senate President Scutari for their partnership. We've made it our mission to address affordability in the state of New Jersey. Now, we all know, and recent surveys demonstrate, that New Jersey is a great place to live, a great place to raise your family. We have the best in the nation's public education system. And so it was time to do something a little bit more. And so we proposed Stay NJ, I should say, because seniors who have done so much for our state should have the freedom to remain in their homes, near the people they love, in the communities that they built. Stay NJ will dramatically cut property taxes for 97% of New Jersey senior homeowners, offering relief to tens of thousands of New Jerseyans. In our discussions over the last month, we've developed a framework that will deliver immediate relief to seniors and senior homeowners and renters. Will increase with the increases that the governor outlined to anchor benefits for seniors immediately. We heard concerns about making sure renters get relief, and I believe that the agreement that we've reached addresses that. And we want to make sure that all seniors get the kind of relief that they deserve. While seniors' burdens are eased over the next couple of years, we'll build the foundation for an improved, streamlined, long-term relief with Stay NJ. Seniors have been hit especially hard over the last few years with inflation and with so many on fixed incomes facing heartbreaking decisions. No New Jersey seniors should be forced to make a choice between staying in their homes and a dignified retirement. They should be able to live in the communities they cherish and the families they love. And now I'm a new grandfather, so I tell everybody that shamelessly and proudly. And so I understand what it means to be able to be around the grandchildren that you love so much. I make excuses to go over to their houses. You know, kids need ice cream. Let's get the kids ice cream. Here's the ice cream. Kids, give me the baby. I'm fortunate enough that I'm going to be able to do that. Not everybody was. This will help. This will give people the opportunity to stay in New Jersey. And it's the right thing to do, not just for seniors, although they'll get the checks. The benefit really extends to all of the family. We all know that seniors play an important role in family lives. They provide childcare for so many. They volunteer in so many places. They're part of the fabric of the communities that they help build. Stay NJ will ensure that our state continues to welcome their contributions, and we're able to take these big, bold steps because as we put together our state budget on firm footing over the last 6 years with the leadership of Governor Murphy, with the partner in Senator Scutari, what we have done, as the governor outlined before, has been dramatic. We're in the best fiscal shape the state has ever been in, certainly in the best in decades. And that's because of the great stewardship and leadership that we've seen from Governor and Senate President, and I've had a little part in being part of that too. And we've made prudent investments and eased the burden on property tax owners while maintaining a healthy budget surplus. We're committed to continuing to do that. Governor Murphy's administration, we've worked together and made fiscal responsibility a hallmark of this era. Those decisions have afforded us the opportunity to undertake a project like we are today, a program that will fairly invest in the future of New Jersey. It builds a framework for support for our families, strengthens our communities, and fortifies our economy. There's a lot to be excited about in this program. If you're a senior, this is a really big day for you. I look forward to working with the Senate President and the Governor and my colleagues in the legislature to pass this important program and get on about encouraging seniors to stay in New Jersey. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Craig. That was awesome. Thank you, Craig. Congrats again on the grandkid. Please help me welcome another great leader, the President of our great state Senate, Senator Nick Scutari.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Speaker Coughlin. Really great day for the seniors of New Jersey and middle-class taxpayers across the board. I mean, this is the beginning and the continuation of democratic ideals, which is giving back to taxpayers. And I want to credit both of these gentlemen right here for working to get this program together. And that wasn't necessarily thought to be an easy task, but when you have the trust and the relationships that we've had over the years, it really wasn't that hard. We knew where we wanted to be, we just needed to get there. And these numbers reflect fiscal responsibility as well as a game-changing property tax plan for senior citizens and maintaining the property tax relief that we're giving to all property tax owners in New Jersey. And it's not just for one class or another, it's pretty much across the board. So middle-class New Jerseyans can celebrate today that they're going to get a significant amount of their property taxes slashed. And that's going to help people stay in their homes. That's going to help make New Jersey to stay NJ. So as they get older, they don't have to consider as easily moving down south where they may see a better property tax rate than we do here. New Jersey has so much to offer for folks. They want to stay here. We need to make it more affordable, and that's why over these past 2 years, affordability has been at the forefront of essentially every decision we've made. Every decision that the governor, every decision the speaker, and my House and the Senate has talked about the affordability for the people of New Jersey. And this continues to mimic those conversations. So with that, I just want to say thank you for the speaker and the governor for allowing me to participate, work together, collaboratively, bring all sides together to come up with a plan that everyone not only could live with, but could fully embrace. and I'm very happy with the result. I can't wait to get it voted out. I see that there's essentially, it feels like there's universal support already, and that's across the aisle for Democrats and Republicans, because we're all talking about the same message. We want to make New Jersey more affordable for all the folks that live here. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Good job, buddy. Thank you, Nick. We'll take some questions. Before we do, one of the things that we've all talked about, and now I'm in year 6, so we predicted and we're not class warriors. We want people to succeed here. We believe in the American dream, going from nothing to something. But we predicted that when we raised and passed and signed the millionaires tax, that it wouldn't drive millionaires out of the state, and it hasn't. We now have more millionaires today than we've ever had. But what we did, and we've been acknowledging for years, which is why this is such an important day, is that the challenge was losing retired, overwhelmingly middle-class homeowners whose kids had graduated from our great public schools, so therefore over half of the property tax bill is kind of not relevant for them. And then secondly, they're living on a fixed income, and they want to stay here, but they're having a hard time making the math work. This is going to go a long way, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, and if you're a senior. So big day. I want to thank my colleagues. Dave, nice to see you. This is folks watching at home can't see that this is a veritable all-star lineup of the Fourth Estate here in New Jersey. So we're honored to have you.
Could you talk a little bit, Governor, about how did this idea originate? Because when it was first, we first heard about it, you were like, no, this can't work. It's too much. The limits are kind of wacky here. All of a sudden now, there's a deal. So who had the original idea? Where's the money going to come from? Maybe Liz could address that, or you could, Governor. And how much will the renter get after the first year, where they get the extra 200?
Yeah. That is actually not just the first year. That's the first 3 years, I believe. So it's going to be up until from 23 to 26. I think we all kind of came to this. Craig gets the credit for the stay and Jay piece of this, and has felt passionately about this from day one. But Nick and I had also wanted to find a way that we could, within the context of fiscal responsibility, put some more juice in for seniors. I think it was at the end of the day a collaborative effort, and we're doing it in a way that is fiscally responsible. We're not out over our skis. Not only ultimately where we land, but in the lead up to that. We added renters, which was a big tweak that I think we all felt passionate about. But I think it's like a lot of good things in life. It was a collaborative effort, and I also specifically want to make sure that we don't go back to those bad old days where we weren't making our pension payments, we were underfunding the school funding formula. The surplus the year before I got here was $410 million. The budget I submitted was just over $10 billion. We've seen the bad old days, and we don't want to go back. So like everything else in life, a collaborative effort. Do you want to add anything to this, or Nick?
Sure. I think that the truth of the matter is the governor, as outlined and as the Senate president alluded to, affordability is at the center of every conversation we've had when we come together and talk about legislation, we talk about budgeting, we talk about seniors. So the idea came, stay NJ, I guess, came from me, so I guess I'm responsible for that wacky number in the beginning. So, but the truth of the matter is look, we have demonstrated over the course of the last several years that when we put our shoulder to the wheel and commit to doing something, we get it done. Governor Murphy deserves an enormous amount of credit for that. Senate President deserves an enormous amount of credit for making sure that happens. I think there were people who were skeptical about whether we'd be able to make a $7 billion pension payment. We did. We put in more money than we ever have, and actually added a $500 million payment at one point in the middle. Same thing with education funding, S2. That has continued to ramp up, and the payment's been made all of the time. As the governor pointed out, this is a matter of priorities. Keeping seniors in the state of New Jersey is a priority for all of us, and so we're going to make sure that we get it done. We work through it together and have come to where I think is a terrific place that addresses the concerns, provides for long-term stability, and offers seniors a real opportunity.
Yeah, come on in.
And so I'll just speak from a historic perspective, because unfortunately, I'm here the longest. And I can tell you that I've been here for the bad old days, and these days are better. There's a better attitude and a better way of thinking now than there was when I first got here, and the economy is just far better. Under the policies that have put in place in these past 6 years, New Jersey has grown. So we have the luxury of providing this long asked for property tax relief that we couldn't fathom to be able to do. And when we first started to bandy about this program, it looked like it was going to be really hard to get done. But when the three of us get together, there's obviously things that we can make happen. And so this is a very responsible way of taking the original legislation that the Speaker had introduced and making it work. And I'm really happy that the governor was able to make those numbers work, still provide a really fiscal responsible budget, and give people the number one thing they've been asking for all these years I've been here is help us with our property taxes. And that's what this does.
Starting in 26, Governor, do we know how much the renter will get?
The renter, it goes up $250 this year and stays that way.
It will stay at 250.
Yeah, unless we decide to raise it somewhere in the future, but yeah.
So that's $700. Please.
You kind of alluded to this, but I just want to address the timing issue again a little more clearly. So the promise is made today to cut property taxes in half for a lot of seniors. The payout in 2026. So the seniors are sitting there now saying, I want my property taxes cut now. What's the explanation for making the promise today, delivering in 2026?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is we want to give ourselves, we're bulls on New Jersey. We want to give ourselves a couple more years to see the economy strengthen, and we have every reason to believe it will. Secondly, this is a complex program to put into place, and we're probably going to need to have a runway that's reasonable to make sure we do it right when we get there. And thirdly, acknowledging that we don't want that. If that senior's out there watching, we want to make sure they know we actually are giving you something immediately. If you're a homeowner or a renter and you make up to $150,000, you're getting an extra $250 this year, next year, and the year after.
Just a quick follow-up on that, the 250, was there any rationale behind that? So property taxes last year went up by $206, were you trying to get out ahead of that? Or maybe, did you figure out how much you wanted to spend and divide it by how many you thought were going to apply? Was there any?
You're giving us a lot of credit for the approach here. We just,
One and a half times.
yeah, that's right. Renters are 1.5 times what they were getting before. We just felt like this is a good number that we could land on. Again, remember fiscal responsibility. We have to collectively deliver a budget by a week from Friday that we can hold up, and Liz and I can go to see the rating agencies and say, yeah, we delivered affordability. We also did it in a fiscally responsible way. Hey, Paul.
What year, it's 2028 where they get the full 50%, correct?
No,
2020,
January 26.
Yeah.
27 or 26?
26.
26. And what's the guarantee that whoever's governor in 2026 and whoever's in the legislature in 2026 is going to appropriate the amount that will be needed?
Well, at least I'll be governor for the fiscal year 26 budget, so I could count at least year one off of that. I assume these guys will be around, and I think this is going to be, Paul, wildly popular. And no matter what party you're in, no matter what your persuasion, it's going to be a hard thing to turn your back on.
Why not put it on the Constitution, Bob Off, the assemblyman, suggested putting this exact program on the ballot as a referendum, because right now, in it says if it conflicts with education funding goes first, because it has no constitutional basis. Why not put it on the ballot?
I think, listen, let's get this thing off the ground. I like Bob. Bob's usually got some good ideas, but for now, we're doing it the way we're doing it.
And then,
Do you have any follow-up, Paul?
27, what guarantee do I have that?
Well, as I said a minute ago, first of all, my guess is these guys are on the scene, even beyond my time, number one. Number two, I think this will be wildly popular. I think you said this in your remarks. This has got a lot of support, not surprisingly, including across the aisle. So if something's that, listen, we don't have to make the full pension payment. We don't have to fully fund public education, but I think collectively what we'd try to do is draw a line under what we think is good behavior and never return back to those days when we weren't living up to our responsibilities. Tom, you had your hand.
Yeah, if the budget situation worsens, as you guys saw, budget experts in both parties are warning that we're going to face a gap starting in 2025 pre-COVID. What's to protect us, especially given there will be different players conceivably?
Yeah. I spent literally 2 hours with former Secretary Bob Rubin, who I've known for 40 years this morning, wargaming the economy. I think there's a general consensus that the tough time is going to be sooner than later. There's an enormous amount of bullishness. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think I can. We're bulls on the 3 to 5 year plus outlook for both the general economy and New Jersey's economy. We think we're going to be set up really well. You look at Nick and I were with Merck yesterday, for instance, 7,100 employees in Rahway, including taking from sites elsewhere in Jersey, but beyond that. It's part of the reason, Tom, we put out a $10 billion proposal in our surplus. We know we're going to have to eat into that if the economy softens, but we just don't see a systemic challenge that would eat into that to such an extent we couldn't afford to fund public education, pension payments, et cetera.
If you have to choose between full pension, education, and this, what do you think?
Well, I think the bill is pretty clear that we're obligating ourselves to fully fund education and the pension payment.
But it's not really a legal obligation, sort of a spiritual.
Yeah, I feel like it's, actually education we have to, yeah. It's more than spiritual. It's a commitment. Charlie? Yes. Is it, did Paul give you this?
At least I'm happy. The cost, Treasurer told me yesterday, is $1.3 billion once this is fully implemented.
I thought 1, 2, 3, but yeah, that sounds about right.
And the original that you had threatened a month ago to shut down the government over was 1.7, according to the administration, 1.2, according to Paul, that's my understanding. So this sounds like still a substantial savings, substantial cost that you're keeping on that you initially resisted. I wonder if you could talk about your evolution of thinking on that.
Yeah, so and I'll speak for myself in this case because I don't want to speak for the other guys, but I think they'll attest to this as well. We already had a shadow number in our pocket that we were playing with to add in for seniors. So you have to take the $1.2 billion and in terms of the delta and take that down by some amount, say $200 million, a good $200 million. Secondly, it didn't include renters at first, and I think the three of us, when we really looked at it, we said, we got to include renters. So that persuaded me. There are caps, and the questions you just asked a minute ago, Tom, on, we are obligating ourselves to fund public education fully, pension payment fully, and to have a very significant surplus. And we wouldn't be doing that if we, weren't going to do it, number one, but number two, didn't believe we could do that and also do this program. And those
One of those that is on the chopping block. If times do not, if it's a tougher situation than we're expecting.
yeah,
This is the one of those four that's on the chopping block.
I would say we're committed and obligating all of those to get done. Charlie?
As, to that commitment and that obligation, would you rule out raising taxes to protect this program if in fact, the economy does dip and the revenues do shrink up?
Gentlemen, I think I could say definitively yes, we rule it out, because it's kind of crazy to raise taxes to deliver tax relief. Right?
One other thing about that, and this is a critique that came from the left, can you explain why wealthy homeowners at $500,000, I know, Governor, you were concerned about zillionaires, people of significant money, people of that means.
Do you mind answering this?
Yeah.
Why at 500,000? Wouldn't it, in theory, a lot of those people have the means, pay the taxes and probably have the means to stay and not fly off or resettle in
Yeah.
South Carolina or Florida? And as part of that, isn't it kind of regressive? I mean, they're more likely, because they're high income, paying higher taxes, they're going to get the full benefit, whereas somebody like a middle class or lower middle class homeowner is going to get maybe a portion.
I'm going to ask Craig to answer this, but the data suggests actually, Charlie, that senior is also at risk of staying versus leaving. And we want, if they want to stay, we want to help them find a way to stay. And that's sort of at the core of this. But Craig, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, for a few things. One, everybody will get a half. That's the plan. The plan is whatever you're paying now, you get a half. So, but the reason for the $500,000 cap is we want to make sure every senior has the opportunity to stay. We want to capture as many seniors as we possibly can, and giving people who achieve a good salary and have the opportunity to stay. We want them to stay because, as I said in my comments, seniors contribute in ways that are really profoundly important to communities, right? They help build those communities. They volunteer. They care for their grandchildren. They care for their communities in a way that is, you don't pin a dollar amount on it, but it has a profoundly positive effect. And so having people who have the wherewithal to be able to stay here and be engaged and continue to contribute to the economy in a meaningful way is really an important idea. The other thing that I think is really important to know, Charlie, is that the fact that this is, while the discount will go, or the cut will go to the seniors, it's really about families looking forward. Like, how many families actually have to contribute to pay for their parents, right? Young families paying for their parents or their grandparents to be able to stay in their home. This will help alleviate that. The other thing is, when people are deciding where to stay when they retire, when they're in their mid-50s or something, and they're making their decision about how they feel about where they live. And, there's an AARP report that talks about, I think it's 70% of adults in New Jersey want to stay in their home and they worry about their property taxes. So we'd like to change that thinking. That would make it transformative. If people start to think about New Jersey as a place where they can stay and continue to be involved with their family, their grandkids, the people that they're friends. So this is an opportunity by having that be an aspirational goal, because some of the folks we want people to continue to strive to be successful, as the governor had mentioned, as the Senate President talks about. So this is an opportunity to do that and to say to people, look, you're welcome. We want you to stay. We want you to stay.
If you're making $500,000
Yeah.
it's more likely you have the means to pay that property tax. You're not going to just leave Jersey because of your property tax. Maybe somebody.
Well, you may, but you also may decide that, you know what, New Jersey's a good deal, just like it's a good deal to raise a family here, just like it's a good deal to send my kids to public school in New Jersey rather than have to send them in private school if I'm living in some other state. It's a good deal to live in New Jersey because we have an incredible location. It's a good deal for a number of reasons. Why not make it a good deal for seniors as well?
Joey, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so two things. One,
Sorry.
part of the bill, or part of this deal, is to create a commission dealing with implementation. Can you maybe give some details about what that might look like? Then second thing, just a clarification on the renters part of this. I know that's been asked before, but so there's the part of it that is $250 for 2023 to 2026 via Anchor. Is there some kind of more permanent, long-term renters part of this, or is that the one part of this deal? Is that the only part of the deal that has to do with renters?
So on the first point, your question is the commission?
Yeah.
Just, we think this is a complex proposal. We admit that. Would like to see this end up where you press one button and you get your rebate, you get your incentive. So it's going to take time for us. We can't turn on a dime tomorrow and do this. We have to get representatives from all three of our branches in a room and try to come up with the sort of battle plan, if you will. Yeah, there's a apportionment of how much each of us get to put on this, as we do on most commissions. And so there's really two reasons why we're not going to hit the switch tomorrow. We want to be able to leg into economic growth to make sure we're within our means, and two, this is complex. Your second one, where do we end up with renters? Do they stay at 700? I forget. They stay at 700.
So that's just, that will be increased to 700 perpetually now, and that is...
Correct. It's going to stay as the other elements of Anchor for the non-seniors will be that way as well. Do we have the ability at some point down the road, if we're minting money as a state, to revisit that? Absolutely, but that's what it's going to for now. Please.
The senior freeze was added as an amendment to your Kaufman's bill. Is that proposal included in this deal then?
Senior freeze was added?
Yeah, you added an amendment to include the governor's proposal for an increase in senior freeze.
Oh, yes, I mean, that was what was part of, yeah, that was, well, we were in agreement on that to begin with, so that just would, for drafting purposes and for simplicity, we had to increase the income levels.
This is a good point. We already, I mentioned we had a shadow, to Tom's question, we had a shadow amount of money on our team that we were playing with for seniors. These guys did as well. We were coming at it from a different angle. But secondly, in the budget address that I had put forward, we had talked about raising eligibility levels on senior freeze, raising it on PAD for prescription drugs, Senior Gold, another program, raising eligibility. Well, we got to still get, I still have to pass the budget, I have to sign it, but, yeah, well, ask us on the 30th. Mike?
Governor, will people have to apply, or will the benefits be automatic? And just to be clear, there will be a direct rebate, people will get a check, or is it a credit toward your property tax?
Our hope is that it's automatic and it's a credit. That's the holy grail, and that's why this is not insignificantly complex. And that's what the commission, that's a big part of the commission's work. Nikita, how are you? Meaning?
Like, how's this phasing going to work? Say you hit January 26th, you put 540 million in, what's the funding mechanism?
Well, the expectation, again, we're sitting on a pretty significant cushion, and even though revenues have softened somewhat, although the early days in June have gotten a little bit more stable, which is good, in line with our expectation. The expectation, and I think if you take any reasonable economic growth assumptions, particularly with a pretty big consensus that softness is going to be sooner than later, you can project responsibly to a fiscal, I won't be here for fiscal year 27 budget, but that will be a, we're going to have the means in order to do this. When you add the cushion today with what we'll have then. And then that's a good point. Good point. We're going to do our best to lockbox some of the money in each of the next 3 budgets so that we're putting money aside tagged for this like we do with debt defeasance and repayment.
Right, but say you get to 26, you have money in that lockbox, is the plan then to just put in 700 million to get it to full fund for that year and annually spend?
Yes, whatever the amount is. And the good news is next year is the last year on S2, the last climb. We have, the rest of Anchor is stable, so non-senior. The pension payment, we've reached the summit. So it's a big number, but it stays there, plus or minus a reasonably modest amount of money. So we don't have a lot of climbs in term. You'll have Medicaid, which is sort of largely formulaic. You'll have things like that, but for the most part, we've climbed the mountains that we had to climb collectively over the past number of years. Dave.
Just one point of clarification, Governor. You want to, for the next 3 years coming, an extra 250, and that will be in the form of a check or a direct deposit.
Same as Anchor. Yep.
And you want to have an automatic scenario for the homeowner where they get a credit on their.
That is the hope. That's why this commission,
Starting in 26.
starting in January of 26. Real quick, and then we got to jump here.
One of the issues on the hearing, when the speakers bill and the committee that came up was complexity of the programs that seniors have currently. Do you feel like you're addressing that issue by going with the all-in application and just to give a direct credit?
We do.
Something that the AARP is calling for
Yep.
senior freeze. At the same time, you're creating an altogether new program that seniors are going to have to get used to
Yep.
hearing about and applying for. Can you just speak to that, trying to address that concern of complexity?
Yep.
And whether you think this has gotten there?
Yeah, so we've heard loud and clear. I'm on Ask the Governor twice a month, television or radio. We hear it on the street. These guys hear it. We hear it from our members. Too many programs. I know you're doing a lot for me, but boy, it's one from column A, one from column B. Can you somehow roll this up into one, the web, perfectly you press a button and you get it. So that is, without question, the objective here. And I think we will need to, your second part of your question is a good one. We're going to need to make sure all of our seniors understand that as things get rolled up into a new umbrella, new brand, that they're getting a lot more than they would have gotten otherwise with programs that they admittedly like, but they feel like there are too many of them and they come at them from too many angles. Tom, real quick, yep.
I don't know if you saw the op-ed in Spotlight from Mark Pfeiffer and Andrew Sidemayer stuff, but they said maybe we could switch to a circuit breaker type of credit that just caps the percentage of
Yeah.
coordinated 5 programs?
I didn't see the op-ed, so forgive me on that one, so I don't want to get too specific with an answer. But we've kicked around a lot of different angles here. Is that fair to say, guys? And again, it's kind of an interesting thing. We each came to this saying, okay, we want to do something on the senior side of this, and we want to do it in a responsible way. I would say never, but we like where we've landed. On behalf of the Senate President and the Speaker, thank you all so much.